I'd like to call the December 20th meeting of the Wheaton Park District Board of Commissioners to order. Mike, please take the roll.
Commissioner Barrett.
Here.
Commissioner Fry.
Here.
Commissioner Mee. Here. Commissioner Pacharich.
Here.
Commissioner Vyers.
Here.
President Kelly.
Here. First item would be community input. We have 3 people signed up. I think you've all spoken before, so I'm not going to go through the rules again tonight. First speaker would be Liz Westergaard. That's fine with us.
My name is John Patterson. I live at 1849 Cherry Street. I am a Wheaton City and Park District resident. On November 29th, you all voted to spend more than $4 million on a parking lot. From what I have found and heard, it's being referred to as Cosley expansion, overflow parking, and revised current proposed parking design. Your only proof that this $4 million project is needed was identified in your October 23rd Cosley Zoo parking lot expansion plan update. It reads, the zoo's 80-space parking lot often reaches capacity between April and October. On average, the parking lot is at capacity for 137 days. Well, when we asked for that data, what we were given was an accounting of how many people pass through the gates at Cosley Zoo, much like I did today. There was no indication of dates, when the parking lot was full, and what happened during those times. In fact, when we did ask for information, which was a FOIA request, we received a letter from your own attorneys stating, and I quote, "The Park District has no records responsive to your request." Here is some true data on what are important factors to the Wheaton Park District. It is a 70-page document with results as follows. Programs, Cosley Zoo, 90% approval rating, very satisfied or satisfied. Satisfaction with Toohey Park, Toohey Park Safety City, Cosley Zoo, 89%. On a section called Development and Expansion of Programs, here is what was listed from that survey. Adult fitness, nature environmental programs, adult social trips and hobbies, water fitness, senior programs and trips. On the section under Development and Expansion of Facilities, the top 5 were preservation of open space, indoor warm lap pool, which I understand from a rumor today, this might be going in as part of your expansion plan for Rice Pool and Water Park. Wildlife areas, natural areas, small neighborhood parks, picnic shelters, restrooms. 37% of respondents said that they would not support a tax increase for any project or improvement, although there was 26% satisfaction that they would support a tax increase for an indoor pool, multi-pool facility that included all of the above. Interesting fact under opinions regarding issues and opportunities, 39% of respondents agreed or strongly agreed that the Park District should increase parking availability at Cosley Zoo. However, 31% disagreed or strongly disagreed. So I ask you, where are you getting your proof? Where are you getting your community support to spend part of our taxpayer money in this expansion for Cosley Zoo, mostly the beginning parking lot. When you have a 70-page document that says, this is what Wheaton Park District taxpayers need. Finally, through the survey, one item did come up. Recommendations: explore additional ways to involve the community in the planning of future projects, as this was an area that nearly 33% of respondents felt the Park District was ineffective. So again, $4.3 million on an item that didn't even show up in your survey, did not involve any community input other than Park District staff and the foundation. And finally, just to close, a Park District employee at your November meeting made a comment that Cosley Zoo is not going to get bison. If that is truly the case, please take that slide, page 31, off your master plan and also your website. When people see this, they think you're getting a bison. One last note. Several of us attended the Wheaton City Council meeting on Monday. It was interesting that during part of that meeting, when they were talking about tax levy and other sort of items, there was dialogue. They asked for community input, any questions. We came to the podium and asked them. There is none of that with the current structure of the Wheaton Park District Board. Thank you.
Thank you. Next would be Liz Westergaard.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. I am here to ask, how does one communicate with you? When a resident wants to communicate with elected representatives who serve as commissioners of the Wheaton Park District, what is the best way to do this? There are no published addresses or telephone numbers. I tried Facebook, but there's no response. Thankfully, we have email. Where does my email go when it is addressed to commissioners@wheatonparks.org? Who receives emails addressed to the commissioners? Who receives citizen concern forms? Who receives Cosley Foundation emails? Who receives FOIA requests? In each case, my experience has been only Mike Bernard. Our letters to you go unanswered. I believe that this is why our letters to the commissioners are not acknowledged on the subsequent board meeting minutes as having been received, as it says on page 8 of the General Practices Manual. Because maybe they haven't been received. Or is it that you don't want differing opinions as part of the public record? I don't know. My email to commissioners@wheatonparks.org, dated 8/25/23, went unanswered, so I moved on to the Cosley Foundation at cosleyzoo.org on 8/29/23. Within 24 hours, Mr. Bernard had forwarded my message to 4 members of the Cosley Foundation with this note: I strongly advise against engaging this person or any other who corresponds with the Foundation Board on this topic in this manner. As we discussed, the Park Board will be scheduling a public meeting in the near future prior to our zoning hearings with the city. We are finalizing a PR release to counter the negativity with facts. This PR release will likely be used as a response to communications like this one. Please feel free to reach out with questions. Phone is better than email. Mr. Bernard replied to me on September 11th, telling me to be assured that the Board of Park Commissioners are aware of your stated concerns. But my concerns were never addressed. This note clearly shows that I was blacklisted, and perhaps there were others blacklisted as well, if not in agreement with you. Am I surprised? I shouldn't be. After all, This is a board that chooses to schedule their meetings at 5 p.m. Do you know that people who work cannot attend, and this prevents the sharing of opinions? To brazenly ignore and devalue a resident expressing an opinion is actually quite shocking. Commissioners, you have the means to exert your authority, but you don't use it. And this is not to the benefit of the community. In 6 other nearby park districts that I researched, I attached them. Commissioners are able to exercise their individuality by having their own direct contact information published on the website, allowing tax-paying residents to engage in meaningful dialogue and allowing the commissioners to be more than nodding heads. There are several of you who have been part of this park district for many years, serving multiple consecutive terms. At this point, Mr. Kelly, after 15 years, you are no longer even a member of the public. And Mr. Bernard, after 15 years, do you feel that you own the park district and you don't need to answer to any of us, even though it's not your money? In the process to which you have become inured, engaging residents on projects occurs after the planning is over and the projects have been approved by you. Then the PR campaign begins. Wouldn't it be better to engage residents at the beginning of a project? This would enable neighbor nights to be more than an afterthought. There are several ways that you could update your general practices manual to reflect your current practices and improve your processes to build trust and communication with resident taxpayers. I suggest you do so. This is your legacy. Thank you. Who gets the minutes?
You can give them to Donna. Thank you. One last speaker, Jessica Hatton.
Hi, all. That is a lot to
Jessica,
follow.
where do you live, please?
I live at 2 South 725 Cree Lane in
Thank
Wheaton
you.
or Milton Township. Switching gears quite a bit, so hopefully a little bit higher level. So my petition is in reference to the first thing on the agenda, and I wanted to share some comments ahead of time for your consideration later. My petition is in regards to removing or disconnecting my property from the tax code currently assigned to it. So we purchased that residential property at 2 South 725 Cree Lane, which is Milton Township specifically, in September of 2020. We've noticed in our tax assessments that for this property, we're currently assessed at the Wheaton Park District. While we certainly value the Wheaton Park District and all the board has done to advance the community and the service that you have to the community, based on our location and also the special needs of our autistic children, we often go to different park districts just depending on what our son needs and scheduling, et cetera. What we've also noticed, and I think more pertinently, is that Wheaton Park District tax assessment, I don't believe is any longer consistent with the surrounding properties. What I mean by that is, if this sounds a bit more technical, the following, I do hold a master's in tax regulations and law, so like most exciting people, bear with me. As I review the tax information from my expertise, the residents of the remaining parcels on our street, there are 19 additional parcels, 20 total parcels on a dead-end street. We are, of course, at the very border of the Wheaton Park District zoning, so not contiguous, with an additional Wheaton Park District zoning. On one side of us is fully disconnected from Wheaton Park District zoning, the other side of us fully connected. Our street, which is a dead end, as I mentioned, 20 total parcels. 19 of those parcels remain a tax code 5090, so not to include the Wheaton Park District. Ours is the only home with the tax code 5097, which does include the Wheaton Park District. It's the only difference in the assessments between the properties. Now that's probably or likely the result of the desire of whomever purchased that parcel initially in at least 1973 when the house was built or prior. And I understand that it's likely that whomever purchased the parcel was able to select would they like to be included in a park district assessment or not. Well, I don't know that to be the case. I can certainly understand why that may have been the case at the time, but it is no longer our desire as current homeowners. And we would like to request permanently and irreversibly to be disconnected parcel from the Wheaton Park District so that our tax code will also be aligned to coded 5090 along with the remaining parcels on the property or on the street. Mr. Bernard, could you let me know, does everyone else have access to the image that I sent with the petition that shows? They do, okay, so I don't need to send that around. It's a very, very technical Microsoft Paint version, but it essentially shows you, as you've got a copy of it, all of the parcels on our street and shows you where each parcel is a 5090, or excuse me, 5090 on all except for 5097 on just ours. Certainly you can refer to that later. I've also included there the legal description of the property and the parcel. There are, we have met all of the required criteria within the stated process for disconnect requests, so it is not contiguous. It is located on the border of Wheaton Park District. It is disconnected from the Park District, or excuse me, if it is disconnected from the Park District, the territory would not separate any part of the Park District from any other part of a Park District zoning. Furthermore, I would like to cite just a couple of considerations for you as well. I've done some digging just into our state of Illinois and also DuPage County case law, which might support some of this change. I know that this is not a change that we have seen often in DuPage County to disconnect from the Park District, but I do think that the fact pattern aligns really well for the purposes of why a disconnect would be granted by you all. I also want to point out that there is prior case law in DuPage County Appellate Court specifically. So there's been recently, so specifically the case law of Chasen v. Village District of Eastman, so that's 572 F Sup 7578 DNH 1983, in which the court finding amounted to taking with justification in violation of the Due Process and Equal Protection Clause of the 14th Amendment of Illinois Article 9, Section 4 of the Constitution. Specifically of those violations of due process and equal protection by the imposition of an ad valorem. So that's a property tax by the VDE. The statute has then been applied unconstitutionally and in violation, and could be examined on a larger scale for the remaining 19 residences with a 5090 tax code unfairly offered the benefits of the Wheaton Park District. What I mean in real people words is, certainly on one side, I could take this up to the court systems to take a look at if it didn't make sense at our board level to disconnect. And I could look at an unfair due process for my 5097 tax code versus the 5090, but actually in reverse, I might even see there to be a reason for the remaining 19 properties at a 5090 tax code to say, hey, wait a second, that one house gets to benefit from Wheaton Park District, and all the other 19 don't. Why? And so I actually could see maybe another reverse area where actually the other 19 residents have a nice cause for a potential violation of due process and the 14th Amendment under the Illinois Constitution. So another consideration of risk outside my own parcel. Certainly if this is to be denied by the Park District, I will feel required to bring it next to the 35 ILCS 200, so that's the Board Review of Equalization Authority. Section 16 through 60 specifically seem to apply. Equalization within counties as prescribed as my right outlined by the Homestead Assessment Transparency Act, which is effective January 2010, Senate Bill 0207. And I do think increased scrutiny will show up in these areas. I've noticed that the Illinois Policy Institute has been publishing some data recently. Their most recent 2022 would be the data which they published shows that the Illinois Department of Revenue showed DuPage County outside accepted standards, and at least some instances, though, the Illinois Policy Institute examined data for assessments, determined that the portion of the tax burden is given a property owner must shoulder in DuPage counties. The Institute's study confirms reports of a lack of uniformity and fairness across taxpayers. So our assessed value does result in a 10% increase approximately of taxes for our parcel, according to other comparable parcels in the area. So I think that's about all of the board information I have to share. Thanks for listening today and for your time and consideration. Have a great holiday. Cheers.
Thank you. All right, we might as well move right into the first item, and that's the petition for disconnection of certain.
Consent agenda?
Oh, sorry about that.
I'll take a shot at
Yeah,
that,
flip the page over.
Mr. President.
Yep.
I would move to approve consent agenda items A through G, starting with A, approval of the disbursements totaling $2,544,419.35 for the period beginning November 15, 2023, and ending December 12, 2023. B, approval of the disbursements totaling $438,282.52 for the period beginning November 15, 2023, and ending in December 12, 2023. C, approval of the subcommittee meeting minutes of November 8, 2023. D, approval of the regular meeting minutes of November 29, 2023. E, approval of the public hearing minutes of December 6, 2023. F, approval to appoint Michael Bernard as delegate to the Illinois Association of Park Districts annual meeting on January 27, 2024. And finally, G, approval of the 2024 meeting schedules for the Wheaton Park District Board of Commissioners.
Second.
So there's a motion by me, a second by Fry. Anybody have any comments? Mike, take the roll, please.
Excuse me. Commissioner Barrett.
Yes.
Commissioner Fry.
Yes.
Commissioner Me.
Yes.
Commissioner Pacharich.
Yes.
Commissioner Vyers.
Yes.
President Kelly.
Yes. Okay. New business, item 1, petition for disconnection of certain territory from the Wheaton Park District.
Has been our practice, I'm going to move that we deny the petition for disconnection of certain territory from the Wheaton Park District, namely 2 South 725 Cree Lane.
Second.
Motion by Vyers and a second by me. Discussion?
Mike, I know this has been your recommendation in the past, that when we get these petitions, and it's certainly been my experience on the board, I think this is probably the third one that we've had since I've been on the board, and each time it's been a property that's on the periphery of the park district, but we have a lot of properties on the periphery, and it's always been our policy in the past to deny these petitions, and I'm just wondering if you can give us some of the reasoning why we do that.
Sure. First, as I indicated in your packet through a memo from our corporate counsel, the park board does have sole discretion in regard to granting such petitions, regardless of the criteria being met. What I'll do here is I'll simply reiterate prior recommendations from our prior records. My recommendation to deny the petition comes from a couple of different areas. Primarily, disconnection of property would interfere with possible future annexation requests by, in this case, 3 adjacent properties. Disconnection of the property would result in a loss of property tax revenue that in a subsequent tax levy year would then have to be absorbed by the balance of the taxpayers who were not disconnected. And then finally, creating the perception of precedent, encouraging others who are on the edge of the district's corporate boundary to petition in the future. So for those reasons, my recommendation to you is to deny the petition.
And Mike, isn't this the third request for disconnection by that same property?
This particular home, to your point on history, it's either 2011 or 2012. Donna can correct me. 12, thank you. 2012, the owners of this home petitioned to annex the property into the district, and that was granted. And then several years later, the same homeowner petitioned to disconnect, and which was subsequently denied. And then here we have today with Ms. Hatton again petitioning for a disconnection. So this property was granted connection. Not prior to the house was built, but long after the house was built in 2012.
And so my question is, Mike, if that property stays, then the 3 properties touching it would have the opportunity to annex?
That's correct.
And then from there, that's the only way the other 19 could get in, is they'd have to keep coming around the
Correct.
street there?
Their spot annexation by a unit of government is not legal. However, that adjacency provides that possibility.
Now, there are 4 other properties in that subdivision that do touch 2 properties, back door to back door, that could come in, right? These 4?
Correct. Yeah. Potential, so that potential is larger than 3 with a key
other-
annexation in the future.
With the other 4 that are actually touching our property but haven't asked to come in.
Correct. Which could happen. And it actually happens, just for your information, it happens more frequently that folks are requesting to annex as opposed to de-annex. That's been my history here.
Anybody else have any questions or comments?
Not me. Nope.
I guess my only other question would be, would there be any benefit to having legal counsel listen to the tape tonight on all the stuff nobody cares about?
No, I'm not interested in that.
Okay. Mike, take the roll.
So we had a motion to deny the petition from Commissioner Vyers, and Donna, who was the second?
Gary?
Gary was. Commissioner Me?
Yeah, it was me, I'm sorry.
Commissioner Fry?
Yes.
Commissioner Me?
Yes.
Commissioner Pacharich?
Yes.
Commissioner Vyers?
Yes.
Commissioner Barrett?
Yes.
President Kelly?
Yes. All right. Next item of new business. 2024 budget appropriation ordinance.
I move to adopt ordinance 2023-03, making a combined annual budget and appropriation of funds for the Wheaton Park District for the fiscal year beginning January 1st, 2024, and ending December 31st, 2024.
Second.
So motion by me, second by Vyers.
Other way around.
I'm sorry, who made the motion?
Me.
Oh, John. Okay. Questions, comments, discussions on this?
Nice job, staff.
Mike, anything we need to say into the record on this?
No. This
This has been posted and
has been,
available.
yeah, the board has had the budget proposal posted publicly for well over a 30-day statutory requirement. The appropriate public hearing was held, and we are ready to adopt an ordinance.
All right, then take the roll, please.
Commissioner Me?
Yes.
Commissioner Pacharich?
No.
Commissioner Vyers?
Yes.
Commissioner Barrett?
Yes.
Commissioner Fry?
Yes.
President Kelly?
Yes. New business, item 3, 2023 tax levy ordinance.
I'll make a motion to adopt ordinance 2023-04, levying and assessing the tax of the Wheaton Park District, DuPage County, Illinois, for the tax year 2023.
Second.
So motion by Fry, second by Barrett. Any comments or questions?
I appreciate the work that we did on this to, arrive at this consensus for the levy.
All right, Mike, take the roll, please.
Commissioner Pacharich?
No.
Commissioner Vyers?
Yes.
Commissioner Barrett?
Yes.
Commissioner Fry?
Yes.
Commissioner Me?
Yes.
President Kelly?
Yes. New business, item 4, the 2023 tax levy abatement ordinance.
I move to adopt ordinance 2022-07, is that right?
2023.
23.
2023-07, abating the taxes heretofore levied for the year 2023 to pay debt service on the general obligation refunding park bonds, alternate revenue source, Series 2019A of the Wheaton Park District, DuPage County, Illinois.
Second.
I had a motion by Vyers, a second by me. Anybody have any comments?
Mike, could you just run through the abatement process, why we need to do that?
Sure. First, I'll apologize for the Scrivener's error in the motion suggestion. The abatement, so the tax levy abatement, what that does is we have a set of bonds that were issued in 2009 originally, and then subsequently called and reissued with significant interest cost savings 10 years thereafter. Much of this bond issue Phase 1 and Phase 2 of the complete rehabilitation of Northside Park, among other Park District projects. And these bonds were funded as alternate revenue bonds, and the alternate revenue source used was the debt service extension base through our general obligation bond proceeds that are issued on an annual basis. So the source of funds to cover the cost of the principal and interest annually on these bonds was an existing levy through our debt service extension base. If you do not abate this ordinance, a new levy would be enacted by the county clerk and creating a double taxation issue. So this abatement is necessary since the alternative revenue source was identified at the outset of the bond sale.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Anybody else have anything for Mike? All right, take the roll, please.
Commissioner Vyers?
Yes.
Commissioner Barrett?
Yes.
Commissioner Fry?
Yes.
Commissioner Me?
Yes.
Commissioner Pacharich?
Yes.
President Kelly?
Yes. The next item of new business is the 2024 Rams football uniform and equipment purchase bids.
I would move to approve the bids for the vendors' products and prices for the 2024 Rams football uniforms and equipment purchases per staff recommendations, the detail of which is attached to the agenda.
Second.
I had a motion by me, second by Fry. Anybody have any questions? We
Just a
have,
question for Dan. These are vendors we've used in the past, correct?
Good work, Dan.
anybody else have any other questions? No. All right, Dan, thanks for the work on the bidding.
Staff behind me does the heavy lifting. Roble and Adam for sure.
Thanks, guys. All right, Mike, take the roll, please.
Commissioner Barrett?
Yes.
Commissioner Fry?
Yes.
Commissioner Me?
Yes.
Commissioner Pacharich?
Yes.
Commissioner Vyers?
Yes.
President Kelly?
Yes. Next item of business is the 2024 youth baseball, softball uniform and equipment purchases.
I'd move to approve the bids for the vendors' products and prices for the 2024 baseball and softball uniforms and equipment purchases per staff recommendations, the detail of which follow the agenda.
Second.
So I had a motion by me, second by Pacharich. Anybody have any questions? Same person. And the only thing that's important to note is the payment of all these are part of the fees for the
Yep.
program, so this is all recouped. Mike,
Once
take the
again-
roll, please.
Yep, once again, Dan and staff, nice job.
Commissioner Fry?
Yes.
Commissioner Me?
Yes.
Commissioner Pacharich?
Yes.
Commissioner Vyers?
Yes.
Commissioner Barrett?
Yes.
President Kelly?
Yes. New business item 7 is the 2024 Arrowhead Golf Course fee schedule.
I'll make a motion to increase green fees by $1 for 9 holes and $2 for 18 holes for all rates with the exception of the junior, senior resident fees, which will not increase for 9 holes and increase $1 for 18 holes.
Second.
So we had a motion by Fry and a second by,
Andy, remind me last year, what was this, did we increase last year?
We increased, I believe, $2
Card fees are staying the same.
Membership. And the membership was also slightly increased.
And card fees stay the same.
for 9. Card fees, I believe, went up and down.
Last year.
Last year, not this year.
Same this year.
Not this year, this year.
Right.
so card fees are the same, and the memberships are staying the same, and it's just the greens fees that are going up. All right. Anybody else have any other questions?
No.
Okay. Mike, take the roll, please.
Commissioner Me?
Yes.
Commissioner Pacharich?
Yes.
Commissioner Vyers?
Yes.
Commissioner Barrett?
Yes.
Commissioner Fry?
Yes.
President Kelly?
Yes. Next item of business is the Central Athletic Complex Kale Gym Floor Replacement Project.
I'd move to reject
Well,
all the
hang
bids.
on a
Oh,
second,
Go ahead,
Terry.
sorry.
So some stuff has popped up since that, and I'm looking for a motion to table right now. So,
I'd move to table.
Second.
yeah, we need some more time to make sure that rejecting the bids is the right thing to do right now. The bids are good for 60 days, right, Steve?
Through January 28th.
Through January, so we can take action in January. But we're not ready to reject right now.
Oh,
We might
just
not-
my understanding,
we
we
might
already
not
vetted
have
that.
to. We might not have to.
Okay, cool.
All right,
That's
so-
new information then.
Yeah, that's come up within the last couple of days.
Okay.
And basically, what happened was we found some asbestos under the floor, and we may need to do the demo as an asbestos abatement project, but the limit of asbestos is kind of small, so we've asked our consultants to tell us exactly what we have to do. It may not be work that contractors can do. We may have to go do the demo with an abatement contractor and then rebid the flooring only portion.
All
But
right.
we need more time to pull that together now that we know the asbestos is there.
All righty.
All right. So we had a move to table by Terry and a second by?
Me, John,
By John.
not me.
Me.
All right, and that can
Got
be
it.
All in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. And new business item number 9, vehicle purchases for the Parks Department.
I move to approve Resolution 2023-12, ratifying and approving the emergency expenditure of funds without competitive bidding for the purchase of certain vehicles.
Second.
So a motion by Pachart, second by Fry. Mike, you want to just explain why this is necessary again before?
We continue to have difficulty with supply chain issues with vehicles. By the time our typical bid process or the use of the state purchasing program comes to fruition, the vehicles are gone. And in some cases, the state purchasing program is not offering the vehicle sought by the district. So rather than continue to go through a process that, in our case, typically takes 45 to 60 days before a board member, before the board reacts to it, vehicles end up being gone. We've sought recommendation from legal counsel related to the ability to purchase these vehicles outside of that typical process. However, we do, as you will see in your packet, we do in every event where we've undertaken this process to seek 3 competitive quotes regardless.
Anybody have any other questions?
Nope.
All right, Mike, take the roll, please.
Commissioner Barrett?
Yes.
Commissioner Fry?
Yes.
Commissioner Me?
Yes.
Commissioner Pacharich?
Yes.
Commissioner Vyers?
Yes.
President Kelly?
Yes. And new business item 10, commissioner attendance at the Chicago IAPD IRP or IPRA Educational Conference.
Based on a request by a commissioner to attend that conference, I would move to approve that attendance at a cost not to exceed $800.
Motion by me, second by
Second.
Fry. And there's only, from what I understand, only one commissioner is attending, correct?
Correct, for a single day.
For just one day, okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? All right. Reports from staff.
I have nothing further to add.
So?
All right. Commissioner comment. Bill?
Apparently, it's going to be me.
I'll start down there. Bill, no?
No.
Bob, no?
In deference,
Seeing the red lights we got here, no.
in deference.
Go ahead.
Let me begin. In
ahead.
deference to 2 of our commissioners who have apparently are in great desire to move on to our holiday event after this meeting, I want to just mention a few things quickly. I want to, Dan, and you pass it on to Rams football. 2 of the Rams football teams went to the Super Bowl, at least the football Super Bowl game, in November. I don't know how they did, but I appreciate the fact that they went. Then
They won.
they won?
They
Good.
won.
All 9 teams, all 9 Rams cheerleading teams got bids to go to the state competition. How did they do? Do we know?
Great, didn't they?
Yes, they did. We had 4 of the teams actually placed. I don't have the current information, but I believe 1 team received 2nd place, and then 3 other teams received 3rd place.
Congrats.
Thank you, sir.
I know that, Mike, our ice rink is open. I went by there today. Looks like there was a skater beginning. How many days have we been down because of the weather? Any idea?
No, Rob, Dan,
More than open.
more than open.
More than open.
More than open, I thought
Since
so.
Thanksgiving, yeah.
And I think we're going to hit 50 again this weekend, so it is what it is. I do want to thank the police department, for their help in, with our AARP defensive driving class at the Lubco Center. One particular officer, Jill Euler, she's been doing that for a long time, and she's doing a good job. Winter registrations are up. Fees are up for, I guess, Mike, for all of our programs. I mean, other than we got a great park district, something's driving it, so that's pretty cool. I want to mention that now Cosley Zoo is also subject to some USDA schedule recertification inspections every 3 years. They were so inspected in November, and there was no non-compliant issues. So, that's very positive. More positive comments from people, brides, wedding parties using Arrowhead. Pretty impressive, and thanks to our marketing staff and Margie and all your people. I did a walkthrough yesterday of our soon-to-be-open Parks Plus fitness area, and I think January 9th is our target date, but if any of you get a chance, I think you need to go.
January 1st.
Oh, it's the second?
Second.
Okay, thank you. But it's very impressive. My staff and our contractor did a great job, and they moved along very quickly, but it's very impressive. And all of a sudden, our registrations are up. I know that in talking to our Parks Plus fitness manager, so whatever's driving it, keep it up. Reindeer Run, got a chance to attend that. And Margie, thanks for all your work on it and the staff, but we had 1,174 runners and walkers, and we received over 40,000 in sponsorships. That's pretty cool. And last but not least, I want to recognize the recent passing of, a long-term friend of the Park District and a long-term museum foundation board member. That was Bob Jacobson. Bob was a winner, and he'll be missed. Thank you all. Oh, I want to say that I wish us all and our public a great Christmas and a real nice 2024.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Myers, second by Fry.
All in favor? Aye. We are adjourned.